Chair and members of the committee, House Bill 3920 modifies the tuition waiver available for dependents of disabled or deceased service members and Purple Heart recipients. It raises the age by which a dependent child can apply for the waiver from 23 to 31 and allows an exemption to the age limit for anyone qualifying for the Federal Survivors and Dependents Educational Assistance Program. The measure takes effect on the 91st day after adjournment sine die.
Thank you.
Welcome, Representative Tran. It's good to see you.
Good morning, everyone. Vice Chair Fragala, Vice Chair Harbrick, members of the committee. My name is Tran, and I am from House District 45, Northeast and Southeast Portland. Both as an optometrist and as a member of the Air National Guard, I have personally witnessed the transformative power of education and its ability to open opportunities and strengthen communities. House Bill 3920 honored the service and sacrifices made by our Oregon veterans and their families, removing barriers, empowering the children of disabled or deceased service members to access higher education and advance their career opportunities. It was my education that allowed me to build wealth, and it is well known that children of disabled veterans often face additional cost barriers in their access to higher education. I strongly support House Bill 3920, an important technical update that aligns Oregon Veterans Dependent Tuition Waiver Program with recent federal updates to the Survivors and Dependents Educational Assistance, Chapter 35. House Bill 3920 raises the age limit for the existing waiver from 23 to 31 years for the children of 100% disabled veterans. Congress, by removing the age limits on Chapter 35 program, recognized delay in processing and recognized that children pursue education at different paces. HB 3920 aligns Oregon's waiver with these federal changes. I support other proposals that would change this program to operate on first dollar basis like Representative Wright's bill, House Bill 3534. First dollar means that the tuition waiver would apply first before any other financial aid, fully cover tuition upfront, allowing students to use other financial aid for additional costs like housing or books. However, the purpose of House Bill 3920 is specifically to change the age limit for participation in the program. To be clear, House Bill 3920 does not switch the program to a first dollar approach. Instead, it keeps the current policy, the last dollar approach, where university can choose whether to subtract the amount of other financial aid a student receives from their tuition waiver. Thus, there is no significant impact to the state and its self-governed university. I support both Representative Wright's House Bill 3534, which uses first dollar approach, and my own House Bill 3920, which adjusts only age limit. The cost impact for House Bill 3920 should be minimal when compared to other concepts. I support both pieces of legislation as separate tracks and hope both become laws. In addition to raising the age limit, it also updates the law to clarify that a student may receive a master's degree waiver, regardless if they receive the waiver for their baccalaureate studies. This reduces confusion and aligns with the original intent of the program. Supporting HB 3920 will significantly benefit not only our military-connected family, but also our broader community by enhancing workforce readiness and strengthening Oregon's economic future. Please join me in supporting House Bill 3920. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the committee? Okay. Oh, thank you, Representative Yunker.
Yeah, I have a question. I've been trying to find the age requirement to 31, and the reason why, sorry, I got something in my throat.
No worries.
and I support this at all. I'm just trying to figure out how they're going to, if you said that it went up to 31, because currently the VA cuts dependents off at 21 unless they're in college, and then it goes up to 23, and then they drop off. Did that get changed recently?
Chair Fragala, Chair Harbrick, Representative Younger, why expand the age eligibility? Not all students pursue education at the same pace or at the same time, particularly with COVID and the impact of that to education. It has become more acceptable and more common for children to take a gap year or multiple years off from education to pursue employment. We want to recognize this flexibility by expanding the age limit, particularly to align it to Chapter 35, the 23-year-old cutoff that you mentioned. 23-year-old cutoff for being a dependent is according to the Department of Education. That is when you stop putting your parents' information on the FAFSA. It is likely that in 2028, the 23-year-old cutoff was selected for the waiver because it aligned with the dependency status of federal aid definition. In Chapter 35 program, Chapter 35 program does not use the 23-year-old cutoff to define a child. And accordingly, we think that Oregon waivers should use the age cutoff as well. As of August 1st, 2023, the VA has changed its rules based on congressional action removing the age limit. I encourage the committee to ask, should we align this waiver to arbitrary standards of Department of Education's definition of dependent, or should we align it to the standards set by the VA? In short, the VA defined child differently, and we should listen to the VA when we're talking about veterans and their families.
Thank you. I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
So when a student goes to the college, there's a couple pieces of paper they have to give. And I'm not trying to hit this thing, but I have 4 children. I qualify for all this. So I've been through this system several times. They say you need to get a letter from the Department of Veterans. If they are over 23 years old, they're no longer dependent. So how do we prove that they are a dependent? Is there a system that I'm not knowing about that just changed that shows them a dependent, because you usually go to the Department of Veterans Affairs to get this dependency letter? And if they're no longer a dependent, how do we prove this part? Say they're 25 or 26 years old. I'm just trying to educate myself to this change.
Well, from your...
I just went through this again, and this is like a couple months ago. My son that's 22 years old, getting ready to turn 23, he fell off. At 21, he falls off the medical insurance unless I prove he's in college. So, but at 23, he falls off the veterans thing, they said. So he's no longer dependent. Is the state going to do something to prove this, or how's that working? I just don't understand that part.
Chair Fragala, Chair Harbrick, Rep. Yonker, agency needs to communicate with each other, federal, state, and all of that. So we need to check up on that. But for my research, as of August 2023, the VA has changed its rules based upon congressional action removing the age limit. So we need to clarify that with the university, and we need to clarify that with wherever your children got the letter. And my children can stay on my health insurance until 2023, whether or not they're college student or not. So I would double check on that.
You are a acting member of the military. I'm a retiree.
Oh, okay. But if you have medical insurance through the state, I think it's up to the age of 25
But that's not what
or
this bill's about.
26
I'm going
too.
to ask that we keep the
Yeah.
conversation
Directed to the
there,
chair.
and also that we keep it focused to the content of this bill.
Thank you, Chair Fragala.
Okay, great. Rep. Yunker, was there a further question?
No, I can talk to her offline.
Okay,
That's
great,
fine.
thank you. So up next, we have Representative Boomer Wright.
Well, good morning again. I am Representative Boomer Wright, and I represent District 9 on the beautiful Oregon coast from Coos Bay up to Florence and inland just a little bit. Vice Chair Harbeck, Vice Chair Fragula, and members of the committee. I strongly support HB 3920, an important technical update that aligns Oregon Veterans Dependent Tuition Program with recent federal changes to the Survivors and Dependents Educational Assistance, Chapter 35, by expanding the eligible age from 23 to 31 and eliminating the restrictive 12-month time frame for applying to master's degree program. HB 3920 provides critical expanded educational pathways for military-connected families. This bill honors the sacrifices, of Oregon's veterans and their families by removing unnecessary barriers and enabling dependents of disabled or deceased service members to pursue advanced educational opportunities. Supporting HB 3920 is essential not only for veterans and their families, but also for strengthening Oregon's workforce and community by empowering these individuals to complete their education and continue meaningfully to our state's future. Please join me in supporting HB 3920 to ensure expanded educational opportunities for Oregon's military-connected families. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Representative Wright? Okay, seeing none, thank you both very much. And I'm going to call up Colin Ledford.
Do you want me to sit with you?
If you want to, Rep.
May I sit with him?
Of course, yeah.
Dear Vice Chair Fragala, Vice Chair Harbeck, and members of the committee, my name is Colin Ledford, and I'm Representative Tran's legislative aide. And as a resident of Northeast Portland, I'm also her constituent. I'm a proud son of a combat veteran. Before I was born, my dad served our country in the Army as part of the 82nd Airborne, as a service member in the invasion of Panama, and as part of Operation Desert Storm in Kuwait. This experience left him with PTSD and other injuries that over 30 years later finally led to a 100% disability rating from the VA. Growing up the son of a disabled veteran wasn't easy. It meant periods where my dad was unable to work, unable to provide for our family. Saving for college is never a possibility when you're struggling to hold a job long enough to make mortgage payments or put food on the table. And the trauma and disability that my dad faced due to his service ultimately led to my parents filing bankruptcy and separating when I was a teenager, wiping out what little my parents had saved to put me and my brother through school. It was because of the federal Pell Grant and the Oregon Opportunity Grant that I was able to attend Portland State with a minimal amount of student debt, becoming the first in my family to receive a bachelor's degree, and that ultimately led me to the job I have today. I know how crucial education can be in opening pathways to better opportunities. And then in December of 2024, my dad was finally found to be unemployable due to his disabilities, which brought his disability rating to 100%. This was a truth my family knew for many years, and I have no doubt that if my dad were not disabled due to his service, my family would have saved for mine and my brother's graduate and undergraduate studies. Soon after he was found 100% disabled, I received a certificate of eligibility from the VA for Chapter 35 benefits, and I'm 24 years old at the time. I brought this concept to Rep Tran because I know that were it not for years of processing delays, years of back and forth and misdiagnoses and re-diagnoses and other barriers, my dad would have received his rating years ago while I was still in college and while I was under 23. I have Chapter 35 benefits because of the sacrifices he made serving our country and the barriers that I faced growing up. And being just a little too old should not preclude me or others in my circumstances from receiving these waivers at Oregon's universities. HB 3920 honors disabled veterans and their families and provides educational pathways for children. Age should not be an arbitrary barrier, and students who are eligible for Chapter 35 benefits should be eligible for a tuition waiver for longer to align with federal changes to the program. Thank you to the committee for your time.
Thank you very much for your testimony and for your story. Yes, Representative Munoz.
I just wanted to thank you for bringing your story forward. It was super powerful. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
sharing.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay, seeing none, thank you both very much.
Thank you.